Welcome to The Critical Path, Project Management and Leadership in Complex Environments. Episode 31, Decision Latency, the hiding delay that damages projects. Today on The Critical Path podcast, we are looking at the decision latency, the delay between a project needing a decision and the organization actually making one. In major programs, we often talk about schedule delay, cost growth, supplier performance, risk registers, and change control. But behind many of those visible symptoms sits something very quiet: slow decisions. A technical issue is identified, a change request is raised, a risk needs escalation, a trade-off is required between scope, cost, time, and performance. But the decision sits in a ballpark, waits for the next governance forum, or moves between functions with no clear owner. And while everyone waits, the project keeps burning time, money, and confidence. Decision latency is not simply people taking too long. It is the time lost because the decision-making system is unclear, overloaded, risk-averse, or disconnected from delivery reality. In simple terms, it is the gap between knowing that a decision is needed and making a decision that the project can act on. That gap matters because projects are dynamic systems. Work packages depend on other work packages. Suppliers depend on design maturity. Testing depends on integration. Integration depends on configuration control. When one decision is delayed, the impact rarely stays local. It travels through the schedule. For example, imagine a systems engineering team discovers that a requirement cannot be met without changing the design. The technical team raises the issue. Commercial need to understand the contractual impact. Finance need to approve additional costs. The customer need to accept a performance trade-off. The program board wants more evidence. The next formal decision point is in 3 weeks away. On paper, nothing dramatic has happened. The project has not stopped. People are still attending meetings. The dashboard may still show amber, but in reality, the program is losing optionality. Engineers continue working around uncertainty. Suppliers hold resources without clear direction. Planners keep dates that are no longer credible. Risk is silently converted into delay. This is why decision latency is so damaging. It does not always appear as one big failure. It appears as a rework, waiting time, late integration, unresolved interfaces, duplicated effort, poor morale, and optimistic schedules. From a leadership perspective, decision latency often comes from fear. Leaders want more certainty before committing. They want better data. They want alignment. They want to avoid being blamed for the wrong call. Those instincts are understandable, especially in high-value defense, aerospace, infrastructure, or transformation programs. But the mistake is assuming that delaying the decision is neutral. It's not neutral. Not deciding is also a decision. It is a decision to spend more time, preserve ambiguity, and push risk downstream. From a governance perspective, the key question is not only who approves, it is who decides, by when, using what evidence, and what happens if the decision is not made. Good governance should reduce decision latency, not create it. Boards and reviews should clarify trade-offs, assign ownership, and unblock delivery. Poor governance does the opposite. It creates layers of approvals where everyone can comment but nobody feels accountable. This is particularly important in integrated programs. In systems engineering, decisions about requirements, interfaces, architecture, verification, and acceptance are connected. A late requirement decision can affect design. A late design decision can affect procurement. A late procurement decision can affect testing. A late testing decision can affect entry into service. Earned value and schedule metrics can also hide decision latency. A work package may appear to be progressing, but if it's progressing on assumptions that have not been approved, the project may be accumulating what I will call decision debt. Like technical debt, decision debt builds quietly. Eventually, the project must pay it back through rework, cost growth, or a major reset. A useful real-world example is Crossrail. The Elizabeth line was an extraordinary engineering achievement, but the program also experienced significant cost increases and schedule delays. Reviews by the National Audit Office highlighted that the program was farther from completion than sponsors understood. That milestones were repeatedly missed, and that the complexity of bringing several systems and organizations together created major delivery challenges. One of the lessons from Crossrail is that major projects need governance that is close enough to delivery reality to make timely decisions. When information is too optimistic, fragmented, or late, senior decision makers don't see the true position until the options have narrowed. By then, decisions become more expensive and more politically difficult. So, how do we reduce decision latency? First, make decisions visible. Track key decisions like risks or milestones. Give each decision an owner, a deadline, and a required evidence set. Second, separate reversible from irreversible decisions. Not every decision needs the same level of governance. If a decision is low cost and reversible, empower the team. Save senior forums for decisions that generally affect safety, value, contractual exposure, or strategic direction. Third, define escalation rules before the crisis. For example, if a decision affects the critical path, exceeds a cost threshold, changes a key requirement, or block a supplier, it must be escalated within a set of number of days. Fourth, improve the quality of decision papers. A good decision paper should not be a history lesson. It should clearly state the decision required, options, recommendation, consequences of delay, risk, assumptions, and the date by which the decision must be made. Finally, create psychological safety around imperfect decisions. In complex projects, leaders rarely get perfect information. The goal is not reckless speed. The goal is timely, informed commitment. Here is something to try this week. Look at your project and identify the top 5 decisions currently waiting for approval. For each one, ask 4 questions. Who owns the decision? When must it be made? What evidence is needed? What is the cost of waiting? That final question is powerful because it changes the conversation. Instead of treating delay as caution, it forces the team to recognize that waiting has a price. A major project culture does not rush every decision, but it does understand which decisions are time critical, which ones are blocking delivery, and which ones are creating hiding risk. To conclude, decision latency is one of the most underestimated causes of project delay. Projects rarely fail because of one late meeting or one slow approval. They suffer because dozens of decisions are delayed, softened, deferred, or pass between governance layers until the project loses momentum. The critical path is not only made of engineering tasks, supplier deliverables, and test activities. It is also made of decisions. Every unresolved decision consumes time. Every late decision reduces options. Every avoided decision pushes a risk into the future. So the challenge for project leaders is clear. Build governance that helps decisions move at the speed of delivery. Because in complex projects, the question is not just, are we making the right decisions? It is also, are we making them early enough to still matter? Thanks for listening to The Critical Path, Project Management and Leadership in Complex Environments. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow or rate the show on Spotify and share it with colleagues who work where reliability matters most. See you on the next episode of The Critical Path.